What's up YouTube? It's Saturday morning, middle of winter. It's about 7:50 a.m. near the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens, just waiting for my mate Tommy Lane to arrive and when the gates open as well. But we're going to head in there, capture some wildlife and just footage of the fog through the hills. It's a real nice area. I'll just pan around so you can see, but it's within the Adelaide Hills. Stunning. I love this place. It's great during autumn and winter, especially because it looks like this. But today I'm shooting the talking head stuff on this ZV-E1 with the 24 2.8 G lens on here, and I'm going to be getting the wildlife stuff on my FX30 with the 70 to 200 F4 G lens, so putting that to the test. We're going to be testing out Tommy's A7R5 and his Fujifilm X100VI as well, so getting some footage of the features that those cameras have and how Tommy's finding them. And yeah, hopefully we can get some good footage today. We're going to travel around the hills, different spots, but we'll see how we go here for a bit. We've got limited time. Footies in the afternoon Tommy's got to get to, so we've got about 3-4 hours, but hopefully we can get a lot. You can probably hear and see those ducks behind me, but this is a place where all the wildlife gather, so it's one of the best spots in Adelaide, a personal favourite of mine. So stay tuned, you'll see more of the hills as we continue on today. That's A7 III, isn't it? What is that?
R5.
You did bring it?
Yeah.
I thought you said you only brought the A7
No.
III. So Tommy did bring the A7R5. He's got the FX... No, what did
X100VI.
X100VI. What was I thinking?
Sony A7R5.
Yeah.
I
Killer.
have to remove that sentence, but it has...
It
I'm
has?
shooting F9. That's from last night. Let's bring that right down.
This is my current setup, the FX30 with the 70-200 F4 G lens. Got the Rode mic on top because, in my opinion, the mic on this camera is not that fantastic, but on this ZV-E1 it's got 3 mic capsules on the top, so you can probably hear me out from behind here, and whenever Tommy says something you'll hear him from the front because the mic on this thing's pretty damn good.
Yes, sir.
And you probably hear that drone up there as well. I think it's the feds coming to get Tommy.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to learn S-Log, man, like how to expose things properly.
Well, I think... Let's see if I focus there.
That's with camera assist on.
You know, they say you expose to the right, so I have my histogram up now.
I just do what so apparently it's like 1.3 to 1.7 over.
That's what I do.
But when I talked to Chris about it, he said put zebras on, expose till you get zebra lines, and then go back down 1.
So what?
Because he's like, then your highlights aren't peaking.
For skin tones, isn't it 41 IRE or something like that? Or is it 70?
I don't know the techie side of it. But tell me, bro.
I think it's that, but I personally don't use them because I shoot with a LUT not embedded, but right now I've got a LUT.
You can't do that on here yet.
Yeah. You can put LUTs on it, can't you?
Maybe. I didn't think you could. I've got camera assist on, but I don't have
Out with...
It's nuts, bro.
How good is it we actually got to get some animals? Just rocked up here. So this is the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens in Adelaide Hills. Probably my favourite spot in Adelaide, to be honest. But you like it, Tommy?
I think it's one of the best spots in Adelaide by far.
I agree. Especially this time of year, like you can probably see the fog. I mean,
I like the fog, man.
It's like a bit of a Blair Witch Project kind of mood today.
Yeah.
Love it. Tommy's on there. Sony A7R5. You loving it?
Dude, yeah, it's actually like... I always say like you don't need better cameras to like get better as a photographer, not better equipment.
Yeah, but the gear is everything.
There's a step up between like an A7 III to an A7R5. The step up is honestly nuts in terms of like... I think for a general consumer, the step up's probably less noticeable, but as a commercial shooter, to have like 61 megapixels and have that crop factor is just nuts.
And I think, isn't it, is that downsampled as well for video? So you're talking about photo specs.
So photo, I'm shooting at 4K 60. You can shoot up to 8K 24.
That's crazy.
But again, it's like, is 8K...
Is it worth it? Is anyone shooting 8K now?
Well, because realistically, you're going to scale it down to put it on social media anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's going to get
you
compressed.
May as well compress from. Yeah. You may as well shoot 4K compressed to 1080 rather than shooting 8K and then trying to compress it down to 1080.
Yeah.
Again, you're going to have the file size there, but there's also another huge kangaroo there.
Oh, killer! Look at that.
But you're not going to. Get as much out of it because you're going to compress it to 1080 anyway.
There's so much wildlife out today, huh? This is dope.
Another one down there too. I'm just glad there's no emus, man. Emus terrify me, bro.
So those in America are watching this. This is kind of, you'd think we'd see this every day, but kangaroos aren't all that common. It's not like they're on every street corner bouncing around. Unfortunately, you see a bit of a wildlife on the roads being hit, but it's not every day. So this is a nice day to actually be able to see this kind of thing. And good day to bring out my 70-200 lens to give it a good test. With the main man, Tommy Lane himself.
Yes, sir.
So I'm testing out the dynamic active stabilization. So I don't know how that really looks. It's very tight. This is on my 24mm lens as well. So it's cropping in a bit, but that's all right. Tommy's got his... I keep getting it confused. It's X100VI. I owned the X100V last year. I owned two of them actually. I got rid of them only because I wasn't really using them that much. I found they were good, but I'm starting to get more into video. Not saying that camera is pretty good with video, huh?
It's supposed to be nuts. I haven't honestly tested the video because I don't like. I'd rather just use the Sony for the video stuff, but like, I suppose if you're at a pinch and you're traveling and you only want to be carrying one camera, if it can do hybrid based work, then it's a win.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't tested them. Maybe we'll test the capabilities today.
Yeah. So with the X100VI, it's new camera, and Tommy ordered this say a month ago, and he got it within 10 days. This isn't happening. And if you're an American, you're watching this, you've probably ordered the X100VI, and you're still waiting probably to what you said, August.
They're saying if you
2025.
They're saying if you ordered day of release 7 AM, which was February, that you could be waiting till at least August, and now they're saying potentially 2025. From what I heard, Fuji caps at about 15,000 units a month.
That's ridiculous.
And in the US alone, I think there's over 50,000 back orders. So
can you imagine how much they made on the X100V? That was sold out. It kept getting back ordered.
Well, apparently the big issue with this one isn't that they can't make more, because apparently the chip is actually quite hard to make.
They were having so many issues following COVID. There was like that period around 2020 that you couldn't get a camera body because of the chip shortage. And now they're still having chip shortages now.
The R5, they also switched to an AI-based chip as well for the autofocus
they had to make new
modes,
chips,
which is also like why the R5s. I called around a lot of stores in Adelaide. I could find one at Diamonds. So like, there's also it's a shortage across the board.
Yeah.
I think it's more on pro-grade cameras like this. Obviously, it's not a general consumer camera.
I'm gonna try get bird footage today, like little blue fairy wrens. But as you were saying about the AI chip, in this, the ZV-E1, there's an AI, even in my A7CR, there's an AI chip.
Do you find the autofocus pretty snappy on it then?
Yeah, this camera, I prefer to use like video-wise because it's kept my eye this whole time. Yeah. And if I come out of frame, it'll get you. But it's so reliable.
It also has product mode too, doesn't it?
It does. So
do you use it?
Nah. I've only just really started putting this to the test, so this is probably the most video I've done talking at it and it tracking me. I've mostly shot it in Bali, and that wasn't really talking head stuff. But my FX30, I wouldn't trust with autofocus as much, and that's still, you know, it's got tracking, but the AI autofocus makes such a big difference for just ensuring that you get the shot, whether it's photo, video. And you found that on the A7R5, haven't you?
I found the video, because my biggest issue and my biggest complaint when it comes to video is actually keeping my subject sharp without having to utilize manual focus, especially for interviews and stuff when people are sort of moving back and forth. And I found that the autofocus is a lot snappy, a lot like in terms of how it recognizes eyes and faces, it seems to really, really keep things in check a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm also like, I'm not like I'm still obviously very, very new to video too, and like I found that it's definitely made the whole workflow for me a lot easier and keeping my videos a lot cleaner, a lot quicker too.
Well, how do you find that the autofocus differs from the X100VI to the R5? Do you go to the X100VI and then kind of get disappointed because it's not as fast or accurate or trusting? You couldn't trust it as much?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I wouldn't trust the autofocus on the X100VI. I'd say the focus modes are different.
Yeah.
I primarily don't. I haven't shot people yet with it. It's been more like nature, wildlife.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which is kind of when you
tap to focus has been awesome because things aren't moving. Like with you know, flowers and trees. If I miss focus, I just have another crack.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how it holds up with people, but from the shots I've done with you this morning, I felt that like it's been very, very snappy.
Yeah.
But I also been just fully utilizing that touch to focus modes, which I found to work well.
Yeah. I do that more so with my FX30. I touch the focus, and I find that's probably the most reliant. But with this, I can honestly just trust that it will get what I hope it will. Kind of.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't read
With
your
that,
mind.
the,
but
like R5, same thing. It's like you almost trust the camera to do the job.
Yeah.
With the focusing. We'll go that way.
I reckon because up this way there'll be like those trees.
There's also that big weird lake on this side here. Not weird, but there's that big lake. On
the lily pods.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of spend more time on the FX30 now, so I can try and get some wildlife footage and put this new lens to the test. It's the first time I've brought it out, so it's kind of my preview, I guess, of review of the lens. See how we go.
Oh, I like this rundown.
With the Sony A7RV that Tommy's using, 61 megapixels, 8K sensor, AI chip.
Too much.
Thing's a beast.
Too much.
It's
overkill.
The camera gear you can get nowadays in 2024 is ridiculous. Pretty much, I think, what do you reckon, Tommy? Do you think AI in the next 5 years is going to be just shooting for us? It's going to be selecting our...
Camera's almost getting to a point now, like this sounds ridiculous, but you like as a photographer, you're setting the shot, you're setting the space, but the camera's like able to do the work behind making sure that what you've lined. If you're a beginner photographer at this point now, if you can line your shot up and compose your shot properly, the camera tells you all the information to set everything properly. If you're shooting also in auto, at this point, the auto mode's almost getting so good that like you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Not that I think photographers should, because shooting auto, that thing stinks. By
This
the way.
place doesn't smell the best,
Smells
so I'm
like
going to
wood.
show you it. This is the creek of Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens, and
Smells like a fart bomb.
fucking smells.
that's
And I keep swearing.
You know the ones you stomp on and you throw into the teacher's room?
yeah. We used to throw them at into public toilets. I didn't say that.
Like I was saying, you can obviously get away with shooting auto. Does not mean you should, because it takes kind of the creative edge out of the image. But if you want to play it safe, the auto modes are getting so good that it just can be that easy at this point.
This camera, the ZV-E1, is designed for entry-level vloggers. There's so many auto settings in this. Not that I've used any of them. There's cinematic mode. I'm going to probably butcher all the names of these things, but you can basically tell this thing to just shoot, and you just point it. So cameras are getting pretty nuts.
And the product mode is sick.
Product
That's what
mode.
the Sony rep was showing me at the camera. I got a red light on my camera. I don't know what the fuck it's doing. Sorry. I don't know what it is.
Beep,
I don't know what the.
beep.
I got a red globe with a key that keeps flashing, but then I turn the camera off and turn it back on. It goes.
Maybe it's just like it's a lock setting in your.
Probably.
I don't know. So we're still trying to work out the settings on our cameras. This ZV-E1 I only purchased like, I don't know, a month ago. Same with the FX30. And Tommy's just got these two cameras. So this isn't any way a gear review to the point where it's going to be all specs and all the details about what these cameras can do. This is really a first world real test of how these cameras behave in natural environments.
This one's not straight out of the box. This one's had a bit of custom menu work done. This camera here is very much, Sony's come in a very simple way that like straight out of the box, if you're a commercial user, you don't want to change a whole lot, because the way the menus are set up is pretty like systemized, like it's very easy to do. The Fuji though, on the other hand, if you want to set it up to be utilizing all of the film recipes, there's like there's a massively different way to set up all of your quick select menus and stuff to make sure it's really, really easy to swap between things. But it's each to their own. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you're the user. If there's certain features, like with the FN buttons on the Sonys, for me, things that are really important is like having white balance at the touch and go, different shoot modes, different focus modes. For me, that's the things that I prioritize. So that's what I put in my menus. Whereas with the Fuji, it's more about colors, what types of film recipes I want to be using. That's what I put in my quick select. So you kind of set for what the task at hand is.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about these custom menus. I've got a lot of compact bodies, so like this one, the FX30 and my A7CR, so the actual custom buttons aren't as many as you would get on the A7R5, but hey, I've set it up just like you said in a way that suits my style of shooting. But have you found with the A7R5 that you shoot more so in auto white balance, or are you selecting your own white balance?
For commercial work and for studio work, it's always custom white balances, because that's just the best way to go about it. Like last night, I'm shooting for a sandwich shop and it's on a white backdrop, and I'm still white balancing to the white backdrop to just ensure that my colors are consistent the whole way through. Whereas like on an outdoorsy type shoot, like today, I just rely on auto white balance because things chop and change. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The best thing is too, is like realistically, if white balance misses by that far, is that in post-production, you can just fix it up anyway. Like
there's so much flexibility with these files.
But more with studio stuff, it's about consistency. I want consistent colors the whole way through the shoot. And if their overhead lights change, or if there's light coming through the window that might affect the white balance, then you might as well just set it consistent. Using strobes too is obviously you get that consistent look as well.
Well, you're in an environment where you dictate everything. So, but in this environment, when we're walking around the gardens, walking in and out of shade and light color, we need to make sure that the camera can adjust on the fly, because otherwise we'll just be stopping and starting this entire time.
Absolutely.
And you'll probably see as I'm recording, I'm adjusting the ND filter and just probably touching settings I shouldn't. So I apologize if this footage doesn't seem consistent, but hey, this is just how it is in the real world. Nothing can be perfect. I've forgotten how to use this. So I used to own the X100V. I've already said it, but this is the X100VI, and it feels very similar in the hand. I've forgotten all the buttons and all the dials.
That's alright. Do you want me to run you through how I've got mine set up?
So you got shutter speed on the back dial.
Yeah, but it's also on the top dial. And then you've got
ISO, is it
lift up. Yeah, you got a lift and spin.
I see.
So then you've also got on the front button, that front on the very front, see that front trigger?
The front dial?
No, on that front one next to it. So you can switch between basic film stocks with that one there.
I don't think it's working.
Oh, that's alright. Sometimes it bugs out. This one here, if you click that one, that'll bring up all of my.
I see. Yeah.
So that's got the 7. So I think we've got Portra 160, Reggie's Portra, which is awesome. Gold 200, which is a classic. HP5 Plus, which is one of my favorite film stocks for shooting like point and shoot. And then also, what was the last one I got? Oh, Roman's black and white. September Summer. I think Vibe Ari's on there too.
You showed me a setting on your... Do you want to tell people about the hack that you use?
I can tell people. It's not my hack. I found it on someone else's YouTube video. Let me spin. So, focus on me. Thank you. So the hack is...
Hopefully it shows it, but here's...
I think you can see it.
You can't really.
Wow, my skin looks so soft. This camera's f***ing wonderful.
It's a beautiful camera.
So the hack is pretty much... You utilize the Fuji X app. What you do is you set your 7 film recipes, back the camera up, then you change all the recipes, you back it up again, and then you can just keep restoring to old backups. So you kind of get like an infinite loop of film recipes.
And you can keep updating that, can't you, to have different film stocks? So
yeah.
You're essentially just swapping and changing every day, every shoot that you go out and do.
I'll send Ben the video so you can link it in the description so you guys can find the full tutorial on it.
I might put that into the video so people can, because essentially this is a first world test of the X100VI as well as A7R5, so you get an idea of how we use them. And
you tell me if I'm about to trip over, because I'm walking back really fast.
No, you're not about to trip. Is it just the colours of Vector that you're loving?
Yeah, the blue, man, it's just so nutty. It looks like it's like out of like a 2000s, like old, because I suppose Ecto was huge back in like the early 2000s, but
It's a Kodak film stock, isn't it?
yeah, Kodak is, I think it's ISO 100. It's really expensive now too. If you
Film is expensive.
Yeah, I've been buying rolls of Portra 400. They're kind of coming in at about 150 bucks a 5-pack, so it's like 30 bucks a roll. Ultra Max has gone up hugely in price. You used to be able to get 3 rolls for 24 bucks. I saw someone selling 3 rolls for $75 the other day, so we're talking like 300% increases.
And then you've got to get it processed.
The
so
processing prices aren't as bad. You pay about $16 to $20 for a process.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
But I suppose the risk you take with film is that you also don't know whether, you know, for me, I shot 16 rolls in New Zealand and we ended up with 10 of them being damaged because my light meter in my camera was broken.
And you thought it was because it got...
It was the X-rays.
Yeah.
It turns out the light meter in my point and shoot, but of course you don't know until you develop. So then you take the risk there. The one thing you don't get shooting a Fuji X100VI versus shooting a film camera is you don't get that same enjoyment of like the film arrives, what worked, what didn't work, and that can never be replicated. Like,
no.
Oh, you know, these 10 shots look absolutely incredible. This, oh, I wish I'd done that. And obviously you can't change things because with film, it's like obviously you might have shot it a week ago, you could have shot it a month ago. And there's like a level of enjoyment to that and the risk of error, which is really fun. Whereas obviously with an X100VI, I take a photo of this bench, I don't like the photo, I can change the film stock, I can change the composition, I can change everything at the touch of a button. So sometimes when it's too easy, it takes the enjoyment out to an extent. Different type of enjoyment. Film has that edge, whereas the Fuji X100VI has that enjoyment of being safe and fun, and you can be quite playful with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. But the Fujifilm X100VI is giving people that are probably, say, late adolescence, early adulthood, that are never tried film before, but now they have an entry into film, and it might get them interested in actually trying film. So that's kind of like a gateway drug for film photographers.
The thing too is I'd never take this to a club, or I'd never take this to a bar in like at night, but I would take a point and shoot film camera, so maybe that does get people across. But the thing with film becoming so expensive is that it's, I guess in a sense, becoming less accessible to the general consumer, because you know, to go and spend $400 or $500 on a top tier point and shoot, even at a lower end, maybe spend $200-300, and then you got to get the film. And for some people, buying film and putting film into a camera and rolling the film out, like that can be quite intimidating. So there is like that level of stoppage and inaccessibility to the rest of the market, because it's like, for me, I'm a very, like, I've shot for, now we're going on 8 years, and getting into film was honestly one of the most stressful things in the start, more stressful than any digital camera I've ever bought, because going and buying the film and then loading film and then learning how to expose it, like, it was a massive learning curve, if that makes sense. That was such a long answer, but
no, but it made you appreciate photography, especially because it's an art form.
When you go and shoot and you've only got 24 slides,
yeah,
you take every single photo is much more, there's no click.
Nah.
It's line this shot up, compose it properly, expose it properly, and then take the image, rather than just going, I've got 2.4 thousand images I can fit on this card, where you can just click, because what's the risk? You just delete it if you don't like it, the spot's still there. You can't do that with film. You can't just cut the slide out and try that one again.
It makes you more, well, I guess your approach to photography changes. You're more deliberate and more, you focus more so on composition, lighting.
100%.
Not so much color. It would be lights and darks, or light and shadow.
I suppose for me, I always pick film stock, so I think you're going to complement the colors of what I'm shooting. So summer beach day, I'm probably looking at like a Kodak Gold, or if I'm out in the town and I want to take some like nice snaps for my friends, then maybe it's an Ultra Max 400. If I'm out and it's just a kind of a sunny day and we've got some nice colors and I want that soft look, then maybe I'm looking at like a Portra 400 or Portra 800. So you kind of pick and choose your film stocks depending on like what your desired outcome is, and then you just shoot to compose your images well and to shoot your lighting well, rather than shooting for color, because the color's being done by the film
It's
stock.
baked in. But with your Fuji X100VI, you have, what, 16 at your fingertips right now? 16 film
14.
sims? 14
7 at
on
a time, but
7 at a
but
time.
that could be, up to infinity. I'd probably I'd probably load up another 4 or 5 menus worth, just because I love testing different film stocks. But at the same time, I suppose it gets excessive where it's like, do I actually need all these stocks, or is it just
just
it's
collecting
just to
for
take this
collection's
one
sake.
photo, like there's some recipes that I'm like, it'll work well in very, very niche environments, but is this something that I'm going to be using often? Which is why my primary film sims are like gold, portrait, like Reggie's portrait, HP5 plus, things that I like to shoot consistently. That's in my primary setup. Makes more sense.
Fair enough, brother.
My videos seem to do better when I'm like actually like talking about my photos, how I talk about them. Like when I explain to you why I love a photo, I give a lot more detail and a lot more passion. Whereas like when I talk about like to like a general just non-photographer, I'm like, oh, the photo's nice because the colors are nice and the composition's nice. But when I'm like, like this speaks to me and I like the way this feels, it's soft, it's natural, the composition works at this, it's bleeding out. And when I talk about things in that way, I feel like people will like engage with my content a lot more.
It's relatable, it's relevant.
That's how I actually feel too. Like when I talk about how a photo speaks to me and, I like the way this feels and, that's the way I honestly look at a photo. Whereas like, when I'm like, oh, I like the colors, it's like, it feels like a get out of jail free card to not expressing how I truly feel about something.
It's a cliche
The
reason to love a photo.
The colors are nice.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such an easy out to be like, that's why the photo is nice. But it's like, if you actually look at a photo and go, what genuinely excites me about this image, that's when it's like, you can sort of open a can of worms of photography and interest, and that makes sense.
Well, it kind of goes back to why we do this, because I found myself starting to do photography, videography for business and business only. That's why I'm changing my approach so I can love it again. And what you were talking about, this is how this photo makes me feel.
Yeah.
It's reminding you of your why. It sounds lame, but it isn't, because it then makes you more passionate about your craft, and that's how we get better. Because I know the last 3 years I've been that motivated because it just became about money and business.
100%.
But now
when you strip the money out of content creation, it's very like, the approach is very different. Like, again, I work in the commercial sector, so for me, it's obviously you got to make money, but at the same time, I turn down jobs if I don't think the vibe's right and I don't think it's content. Everything I put out, whether photos on a white backdrop or whether it's styled photos, I love it. That's why I got, I've got commercial work printed on my walls at home, because I genuinely love the work that I put out. And if I look at something, if someone approached me with a job and it's not saying that I genuinely feel passionate about it, it's like, what's the point in doing it? I'm sure there's someone out there that would feel genuinely passionate to take on this type of work. And I don't want to draw away from other people's shit. Like, if at the end of the day, if I'm not passionate about it, so I'm sure someone else is.
I agree. And that's why I've kind of niched down my business as well. I only want to take on clients or bookings that I really feel good about, because at the end of the day, this is a love project for me, and I don't want to be finding myself just doing it for the sake, as we've said, money. And just one thing I was doing is I was trying to justify having this camera gear, justify purchasing. I've set boundaries for myself, which I've said before, and I think that's important, but at the same time, I'm like, I've got the gear that I need now, and now I can just focus on doing the jobs I want to do.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you strip the money out of it. It's like, do I genuinely enjoy what I do, or is this just for making money? And the thing is, long term, if you want to be a content creator for the rest of your life, it's like, if you don't find joy in doing commercial jobs or doing the type of work that you get paid to do, it's like, then, if I'm a lawyer and I rock up every day and I hate my job, it's like, well, then maybe I'm in the wrong industry. Or, it's the same with content creation. Not everyone's going to love it. I think there's a big social pressure, like on social media, that, being a content creator is all fun and it's bells and whistles and it's all playful. But I know a lot of creators out there just don't genuinely enjoy it. And it's like, maybe when we're talking about, like, my mate's an accountant, if he hates being an accountant, it's like, maybe he should be a physio. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, do what you love, and if you don't love it, then it's not worth doing. Because content creation is a financial pit, you know.
You're just throwing money in it.
Between the two cameras we've shown today, you know, the body of the R5 is $4,500. This is not in a flexing way. It's $4,500. It's a lot of fucking money, and you know, if you're not making money back from it, and if you're not getting enjoyment out of using it, it's like $4,500 is a car. You know?
It is, or a trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it can be a money pit. This one here cost me $2,800. So between the two, we're talking over $7,000. And it's like, if I don't genuinely enjoy using them, then $7,000 can be put to a million other things. So you got to love it. You got to understand it. You got to want to do it, because otherwise you end up in a financial pit. No love, no passion, and $20,000 of equipment, you know?
Or debt.
Or debt. Consolidate it.
Touching more on what Tommy was saying about getting gear and getting, you know, carried away with feeling like you need it all, getting, you know, $7,000 worth of camera gear. If you're not going to love it and you're not going to use it, what's the point? But that's what I've started to adjust how I approach buying gear. I've set this boundary for myself, and I was kind of hinting at it before, that if I don't absolutely need it for my business, I won't get it unless I sell something for it. So for example, I just sold my Sony A7RV so I could get this 70 to 200 F4 lens. Now, why did I get the Mark 1 version? Because there's a Mark 2 version that's better than this, and it was only like $800 more. And Tommy's got the 2.8 70 to 200 lens, which is fantastic, the Mark 1. But still, I used it at a wedding, it's fantastic. But I sold my Sony A7RV for a specific amount, and what I got for that camera I spent on this lens. So that's part of me setting boundaries for myself. I'm like, I'm only going to get the gear, like I said, that I need, and if not, you know, this lens, do I need it? I sold that camera. It's a Sony A7RV, my first ever camera. I love that camera. I'm very nostalgic, but fortunately I had to let it go just because I want to continue growing my video kit. And this is...
The thing is too, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it,
Do
bro.
you find the difference when you look at a spec sheet between a Mark 1 and a Mark 2, when you're talking $1,000 almost for the jump, sometimes it's like not even worth spending the extra money? Like,
no, well,
for example, like, you know, I've got a Sigma 24-70, there's a GM 24-70, they're both 2.8. The price difference is almost $1,500.
yeah.
Does in-body zoom make a camera lens worth an extra $1,500? Is the glass worth that much more? And it's like, sometimes it's like the cheaper variant can be just as good, and you don't have to spend all that money. Sorry for swearing again.
No, that's fine.
You don't have to spend all that money because sometimes the cheaper variant does the job.
Well, this lens in particular, there's reasons why I got this lens as opposed to the Mark II version. Yes, that one's better at macro capabilities, but I'm going to be using this for wildlife. And how often do you get close to an animal? You know, wildlife, it's wild, so it's going to, yeah, besides this animal here, they're going to try and get away from you. So I don't need that macro capability, and it also zooms out. Whereas this Mark 1 70-200 f4 is an internal zoom. And why is that important to me? Because I have lenses that zoom out, one of which was sucking in dust, had to send it away so it could get the mount replaced, so then it stopped sucking in dust. My other one, when I was in Bali, I slipped over. I had the zoom extended out, and unfortunately it damaged the, I'm just going to adjust my ND filter here, and I damaged the lens. And yes, I got it pulled apart by Digicam here in Adelaide, and there was fortunately no mechanical damage to the zoom or the OSS, but I was always stressing after that fall, so I'd have to zoom it back in. But with this one, I don't have that stress anymore. I don't have to stress to zoom it back in. It's internal zoom, so I don't have to worry that if I do unfortunately slip over, me being very clumsy, that I'm going to damage that zoom capability of the lens. So, you know, there are reasons why you choose a cheaper alternative or a Mark 1 version. So hey, you determine what you need and you go from there with your purchases. This is me testing out the dynamic active stabilization of the ZV-E1. I'm sure you can see me stepping because I step like an idiot, but hey, this will give you an idea of how it works, and it does crop in, so you need a kind of wide lens to test it out, but it's pretty good, I'm not going to lie. It's mostly effective when you're walking straight or back, but if I were to pan too quick, it would have quite a jerky motion, so not really going to bother showing you that. It's not really a good look.
So much, Reggie's Porsche is so much nicer.
I like your jumper, bro. That's sick.
Thank you, bro. Like, the spider, oh, I can tuck my shirt on, I look goofy. Has my shirt been untucked the whole time?
I haven't been looking. I've been too busy admiring that beard of yours.
I oiled it up today.
Did you? I thought I could smell twigs and berries.
It feels so much softer, man. That wool, like it's like a Woolies oil, man, but it comes in clutch, bro. It feels so fluffy and soft.
Let me feel it. Come here.
Give it a fucking POV beard touch.
Oh, look at that. That's gonna be my thumbnail.
That's so fair. I want to take like a market and walk. Walk towards this side of the path.
What? To the right?
Nice. It's kind of like a Kodak gold mine,
I just realised how red my nose is. I'm rude
If
off
I saw
today.
this on the backdrop of a Dell computer, I'd be like, that makes perfect sense.
Let's see if this will actually get it. There we are. Looks dope.
Dell backdrop.
100%.
HP laptop backdrop, I reckon.
I'm trying to find a blue fairy wren. That would be the best test for this lens because they're the size of my thumb and they move 0.23 seconds. So it's kind of hard to see them and it's kind of hard to find them. But if I can get footage of a blue fairy wren, that'll really make my day. That's all this video is going to be. It's just B-roll of blue fairy wrens. And Tommy's luscious beard. And my red nose. It's just frustrating, but... You get it?
No, I couldn't pick it up. It's alright.
Good old winter in the Adelaide Hills, huh? My hands are frozen.
Stunning.
My hands are frozen, my nose is red. If you're ever in Adelaide Hills, visit the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens. Doesn't look very colourful apart from the greens, but during autumn this place pops off. Lots of reds, oranges, purples, greens, Tommies, all sorts.
I'm usually here somewhere. Keep your eyes peeled.
There's also, I don't know if I want to give this secret away, but I came here, it's not really a secret, but when I was hunting for those Amanita muscaria, the toadstool mushrooms,
Oh yeah.
they grow here. They grow up in the...
make your brain spin, or?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't lick them, but they grow up in the upper car park just down the way. You can see them. It's usually during
Are they
May.
ones that glow, or are they the red and white ones?
They're the red and white ones. The ones like Alice in Wonderland, but they grow during April, May, and unfortunately as winter kicks in, they start to fade off and die away, but they look killer. So if you're at the Adelaide Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens during April, May, June, head to the upper car park because you might be able to find some magic mushrooms. Just don't lick them.
Should we go up and follow this path back down and around?
Done.
I don't know if we're going to find one of these blue birds, bro.
No, I'm not holding my breath anymore, but I hope so. It's the only reason I got this lens. No, not really.
I have to come back tomorrow, bro, give them another crack. They've got to be here somewhere, I suppose.
Surely.
It might be the weather though. Maybe it's cold. Too cold for them?
Probably. You know what the problem is about running and gunning, and I just realised this, is like I've adjusted my ISO unintentionally. I did that with the other camera. So all I'm doing is continuously adjusting the ISO and not intending to, but hey, that's run and gun. That's what it's like.
I got a transfer from my camera, which is probably why it was bugging out.
That's what I think. I think because
I keep accidentally, if you're in the photo menu and you click this little, the one that we got for the recipes, it then tries to transfer that image to your phone, and I think that's what happens, and it can't connect to my phone, and then it's like bugging out, like what's going on, boys?
We're in a spot where there's not much Wi-Fi, well, there's no Wi-Fi, but you know, mobile data would struggle out here as well. So.
No Wi-Fi. What do you mean, Dad? There's no. Can't check my Clash of Clans.
This is where the Blair Witch Project was filmed. So.
Was it actually?
Nah, I wish. Imagine that. That would be sick.
Oh, I actually have a video I need to show you too.